I thought she was my forever. For 3 years, Emma and I had built something beautiful. The kind of love that made you believe in soulmates. The kind of connection that made the rest of the world fade away. I saw a future with her marriage, a home, a lifetime of stolen kisses and whispered I love yous in the dark. But love isn't always what it seems. Because in one moment, with one gut-wrenching revelation, everything I believed came crashing down. It started with a text. A simple notification that lit up Emma's phone screen while she was in the shower. I wasn't the snooping type, but something about the way her phone vibrated 3 times in quick succession, as if the sender was desperate for an immediate response, made my stomach churn. I glanced at the screen. Did you tell him yet? 3 words. Nothing incriminating at first glance. But they set off an alarm in my head that I couldn't silence. Tell me what? I didn't want to be that paranoid boyfriend who jumped to conclusions, so I shoved the thought away. But a part of me, some deep, instinctual part, knew something was wrong. Then came the late-night calls. The hushed whispers when I entered the room. The sudden way Emma would turn off her screen whenever I got too close. I convinced myself I was imagining it. That I was being ridiculous. That Emma loved me. And love like ours didn't just fall apart. Until she sat me down one evening, her face pale, her hands trembling in her lap. "We need to talk," she whispered, voice barely audible over the pounding of my heart. And then, with tears brimming in her eyes, she told me something I never saw coming. She was leaving me. But it wasn't because she stopped loving me. It was because her brother, her sick, dying brother, needed her to. And I, like a fool, believed her. Love has a way of making you blind. When I met Emma, I wasn't looking for anything serious. I was fresh out of a bad breakup, the kind that leaves you second-guessing everything you thought you knew about relationships. I had promised myself I'd take time to heal, to focus on myself. Then she walked into my life like a hurricane, wild, beautiful, and completely unexpected. I remember the first time I saw her. It was at a mutual friend's birthday party. One of those loud, crowded gatherings where you don't really know half the people there. I was nursing a beer in the corner when she waltzed in, her laughter ringing through the room like music. There was something magnetic about her, something effortless in the way she owned the space around her. She caught me staring and smirked. "Like what you see?" I choked on my drink, and she laughed, a full, unapologetic sound that made my chest tighten. From that moment on, I was hooked. Emma wasn't like anyone I'd ever met. She had this way of making everything feel exciting. Mundane grocery runs turned into impromptu adventures. Rainy Sundays became cozy movie marathons under a shared blanket. She pulled me out of my comfort zone, made me try new things, made me believe in love again. And I did. I loved her with everything I had. For 3 years, we were inseparable. We had our fair share of arguments. Now, relationship is perfect, but we always found our way back to each other. She was my person, the one I thought I'd spend forever with. I got along with her family too. Her parents adored me, and her little sister Mia always joked that I was her favorite future brother-in-law. But the person I grew closest to was her older brother, Ryan. Ryan was 5 years older than Emma, and they had that classic sibling bond, equal parts love and relentless teasing. He was charismatic in a way that made people gravitate toward him, always the life of the party, always cracking jokes. From the beginning, he and I hit it off. We'd grab beers together, watch football, talk about life. He treated me like family, and I respected the hell out of him. But then, everything changed. A year ago, Ryan got sick. It started with fatigue, then came the rapid weight loss. Emma was the one who pushed him to go to the doctor. And when the diagnosis came back, it was worse than any of us had expected. Cancer. Stage 3. It was a gut punch. I watched Emma crumble, watched her try to be strong for her brother while quietly falling apart behind closed doors. I held her as she cried, whispered promises that we'd get through it together. She devoted every second of her time to doctor's appointments, treatments, endless nights spent researching alternative therapies. I never once resented her for it. If anything, I admired her strength. Ryan, despite everything, tried to keep his humor. "Don't start planning my funeral yet," he'd joke. "I've got at least another decade of annoying the hell out of you." We all held on to hope. Until a few months ago, when the doctor said the treatments weren't working. Emma didn't say it out loud, but I could see it in her eyes. She was preparing for the worst. I promised her I'd be there, through all of it. That no matter what happened, we'd face it together. I never imagined she'd make me face it alone. Emma sat across from me, her hands clenched into fists on her lap. She could have looked me in the eye. "We need to talk," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. My stomach twisted. The words every person in a relationship dreads. I set my coffee down, watching her carefully. "What's wrong?" She inhaled sharply, her eyes darting toward the window, like she was searching for an escape. My chest tightened. Then, finally, she met my gaze, and I saw something in her expression that made my heart drop. Guilt. She swallowed hard. I don't know how to say this. 1,000 scenarios ran through my mind, each one worse than the last. Was she cheating? Did she fall out of love? Was she leaving me? I braced myself. Then she dropped the bomb. "Ryan asked me to break up with you." I blinked. Of all the things I'd been expecting, that wasn't one of them. "What?" Tears welled in her eyes. "He's sick, and he's scared, and he asked me for one thing, just one thing before he..." She choked on the words, shaking her head. I sat there, frozen. "Emma, that doesn't make any sense. Why would Ryan ask you to do that?" She wiped at her tears, her shoulders trembling. "He wants to fix things with Olivia. Olivia, Ryan's ex. The one who left him 2 years ago, right before he got diagnosed." The name sent a bitter taste to the back of my throat. Emma continued, her voice thick with emotion. "She was the love of his life, and he never got closure. He thinks if I end things with you, maybe it'll show her how much family means to me, that I'd do anything for him. Maybe then she'll give him another chance." I just stared at her. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. "Emma," I said slowly, trying to process the insanity of what I was hearing. "You can't seriously be considering this." She squeezed her eyes shut, her whole body trembling. "I don't want to do this," she whispered. "But he's dying, and if this is the one thing that gives him peace, how can I say no?" I let out a shaky breath, my mind spinning. So that was it. She was leaving me. Not because she stopped loving me. Not because of another man. But because of her brother's dying wish. I clenched my fists beneath the table, fighting back the anger bubbling inside me. "Emma, we've been together for 3 years. We planned a life together. And you're willing to throw it all away for some twisted grand gesture?" She flinched. "Please don't make this harder." I let out a bitter laugh. "Harder? Are you kidding me?" Silence. She wiped at her face, red-rimmed eyes full of regret. "I don't have a choice," she whispered. And that's when I realized something that broke me more than her words ever could. She had already made up her mind. I could beg. I could argue. I could tell her how cruel, how insane this was. But it wouldn't matter. She had already chosen Ryan over me. So I did the only thing I could. I let her go. I should have fought harder. That thought haunted me in the days after Emma walked out of my life. Maybe if I had argued more, pleaded with her, told her how much this hurt, she would have realized how ridiculous it all was. Maybe she would have chosen me instead of throwing away everything we had built. Or maybe she had been looking for an excuse to leave all along. That thought was worse. I spent days replaying every conversation, every moment leading up to that night. Had I missed the signs? Had she already checked out of our relationship long before Ryan ever got sick? I hated that I still cared. She had made her decision. She had chosen her brother over me. That should have been enough to help me move on. But it wasn't. Everywhere I looked, she was there. Her toothbrush was still in my bathroom. Her favorite hoodie, my hoodie, that she had practically claimed as her own, was still draped over the chair in my bedroom. The scent of her perfume lingered in my car. I should have packed everything up, erased every trace of her. But I couldn't. Because despite how much it hurt, a part of me still believed she'd come back, that this was just a mistake, a temporary lapse in judgment, that she'd wake up and realize that what she had done was wrong. But as the weeks passed, the reality settled in like a slow, aching poison. She wasn't coming back. And the worst part? She hadn't even tried to. I checked my phone too often, hoping for a text, a missed call, something to prove that she still cared. But all I got was silence, and that silence was killing me. Then one night, I saw it. I wasn't even looking for it. I had forced myself to stay off social media, to stop torturing myself with the what-ifs. But a friend sent me a message. "Hey man, I didn't know how to tell you this, but I thought you should see it for yourself." Attached was a screenshot. It was a picture of Emma, her hand intertwined with Ryan's. No, not Ryan's hand. Someone else's. A caption beneath it, "Some things are worth the wait, red heart." My chest caved in. It wasn't just that she had moved on. It was who she had moved on with. Ryan's ex, Olivia. The woman Emma had destroyed our relationship for. The woman she had claimed Ryan was still in love with. And yet, there she was, smiling beside him. Not Ryan. Him. It was never about her brother. It was never about some noble sacrifice. It was about them, Emma and Olivia. And suddenly, it all made sense. The late-night phone calls, the secrecy, the guilt in Emma's eyes. She hadn't been hiding something for Ryan. She had been hiding something for herself. And I had been too blind to see it. I stared at the screen, my mind refusing to process what I was seeing. Emma and Olivia. Not Emma helping Ryan win Olivia back. Not Emma sacrificing our relationship for her dying brother. Emma and Olivia together. I wanted to believe it was fake. A misunderstanding. A cruel joke. But the picture was real. The way their fingers were intertwined. The way Emma leaned into Olivia, her smile softer than I had seen in months. She had lied to me. She had used Ryan's illness as an excuse to leave me. And I had been dumb enough to let it happen. My chest tightened as I scrolled down, my hands trembling. The post had hundreds of likes, dozens of comments, people congratulating them, calling them a beautiful couple, saying how happy they looked together. I felt sick. I slammed my phone down, my pulse hammering in my ears. I needed answers. I needed the truth. Before I could stop myself, I grabbed my keys and drove straight to Emma's apartment. By the time I got there, it was almost midnight. But I didn't care. I pounded on the door, my anger bubbling over into something I could barely contain. A few seconds later, the door creaked open. Emma stood there in an oversized sweater, her hair slightly damp, like she had just taken a shower. Her eyes widened when she saw me. "What are you doing here?" I let out a bitter laugh. "That's what you're going to ask me?" I pulled out my phone and held up the picture. "How about this? Care to explain what the hell is going on?" She paled. For a second I thought she might deny it, might try to spin another lie. But then her shoulders slumped. "I didn't want you to find out like this," she whispered. I scoffed. "Yeah? When were you going to tell me? After I wasted months grieving a relationship you killed for your own selfish reasons?" Tears filled her eyes, but I wasn't falling for it this time. "Just tell me the truth, Emma," I said, my voice hoarse. "Was this always the plan?" She shook her head quickly. "No! I swear, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. Then how was it supposed to happen?" I snapped. "Because from where I was standing, it looks like you used Ryan's illness as a convenient excuse to get rid of me." She flinched. "I never meant to hurt you." "Bullshit," I spat. "You knew exactly what you were doing." Her lips trembled. I was scared. Of what? She hesitated. Then, in a small voice, she said, "Of admitting the truth to myself." I stared at her, my anger warring with the dull ache in my chest. She took a shaky breath. "I didn't know how to face it, how to tell you that my feelings were changing, that I started seeing Olivia in a different way. I kept telling myself it was just confusion, that it didn't mean anything. I clenched my jaw. So you lied. You manipulated me. You let me believe I was the problem while you figured out your confusion behind my back? She wiped at her tears. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. You don't. She swallowed hard. But I did love you. I shook my head, stepping back. No, you don't get to say that. Love doesn't do this. Love doesn't destroy someone just because you're too much of a coward to be honest. Her face crumpled, but I didn't care anymore. I had my answer. I turned around and walked away. And this time, I wasn't looking back. I walked away from Emma's apartment that night, but the anger inside me refused to settle. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the way she did it. The lies. The manipulation. The way she led me believe I was the one losing her when, all along, she had already chosen someone else. I wasn't going to let it end like this. She owed me more than half-truths and watery apologies. She owed me the truth. So, instead of going home, I drove straight to the hospital. If there was one person who deserved to know what was really going on, it was Ryan. I stormed through the hallways, ignoring the judgmental stares from nurses as I made my way to his room. When I pushed open the door, Ryan was sitting up in bed scrolling through his phone. He looked up, confused. Dude? I slammed the door shut behind me. We need to talk. Ryan frowned. What's going on? I threw my phone onto his lap. The picture of Emma and Olivia was still on the screen. His face fell. Oh. I crossed my arms. Oh? He let out a slow breath, rubbing his temples. Look, Manny don't look, men me, I snapped. Did you know? He hesitated. And that hesitation told me everything. I let out a sharp laugh. Unbelievable. Ryan sighed. It's not what you think. Really? I scoffed. Because what I think is that my girlfriend or sister used your illness as an excuse to break up with me so she could run off with Olivia. And you knew about it. He winced. I didn't know at first. I shook my head, rage bubbling in my chest. When did you find out? Ryan exhaled. A few weeks ago. Emma told me she'd been having feelings for Olivia but didn't know how to deal with them. She didn't want to hurt you. I let out a bitter laugh. Oh, she didn't want to hurt me? That's rich. Ryan looked down. She was scared. She thought she was doing the right thing. The right thing? I repeated, my voice rising. She let me believe I was the problem. She let me think I was losing her because of you. And you let her. He flinched. I took a step closer. You let me sit there and think this was about you. You let me walk away, heartbroken, while you knew the truth. Ryan ran a hand through his hair. What was I supposed to do? She's my sister. And I was supposed to be your friend, I said coldly. He had no response to that. Silence stretched between us. Then, finally, he muttered, I'm sorry. I scoffed. Yeah? Well, sorry doesn't fix this. I turned on my heel and stormed toward the door. But just as I reached for the handle, Ryan spoke again. There's something else. I froze. A slow, sinking feeling crept into my stomach. What? I said through clenched teeth. Ryan hesitated. Then they're moving in together. It felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. I turned around slowly, my hands trembling. What did you just say? Ryan looked guilty. Emma and Olivia. They're getting a place together. A cold laugh escaped my lips. Wow. That was fast. She was going to tell you, Ryan said quickly. I shook my head. No, she wasn't. And that was the worst part. She was just going to let me find out like this. Through whispers. Through social media. Through anyone but her. Ryan opened his mouth, probably to try to defend her, but I didn't want to hear it. I was done. Without another word, I yanked the door open and walked away, leaving Ryan sitting there with his guilt. Emma could have Olivia. She could have the perfect little life she threw me away for. I wasn't going to be part of this twisted game anymore. But as I stepped out of the hospital and into the cold night air, I made myself a promise. Emma might have walked away first, but this time, I was the one closing the door. I didn't go home that night. Driving through the empty streets, my mind felt just as deserted, stripped bare, abandoned, left to rot in the aftermath of everything Emma had done. How do you move on from something like this? From a betrayal so deep it made you question every moment, every conversation, every kiss? For weeks I had been waiting, hoping for some kind of explanation that would make it all hurt less. But there was none. Emma hadn't just left me. She had rewritten our entire story, reducing it to nothing more than a stepping stone toward the life she actually wanted. And I had been foolish enough to think I was a part of it. I ended up at a bar on the other side of town, the kind of place where no one asks questions and no one cares about the misery in your eyes. I ordered a drink, then another. But no amount of alcohol could erase what I had seen. The image of her hand in Olivia's. The way she smiled, soft, effortless, free as if the weight of our relationship had been suffocating her all along. I should have hated her. Maybe part of me did. But mostly, I just felt empty. Somewhere between my fourth and fifth drink, my phone buzzed. I ignored it at first, but when it buzzed again and again, I finally picked it up. A message from an unknown number. Meet me outside. 5 minutes. My brows furrowed. Was this some kind of joke? Then another message. It's Olivia. My heart slammed against my ribs. What the hell did she want? For a moment I debated ignoring it. I owed her nothing. I owed Emma nothing. But curiosity got the better of me. I threw some cash on the bar and walked outside. She was waiting by a street lamp, arms crossed, shifting nervously on her feet. When she saw me, she exhaled. You came. I scoffed. Did I have a choice? She bit her lip, glancing around before stepping closer. I needed to talk to you, away from Emma. I clenched my jaw. What could you possibly have to say to me? She hesitated. Then, in a quiet voice, she said, She lied to you. About everything. I froze. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Yeah, no shit. No. Olivia shook her head, urgency in her eyes. I mean about Ryan. About why she really left you. My blood ran cold. What are you talking about? She took a shaky breath. Ryan was never dying. The world tilted. What? My voice barely came out. She swallowed hard. Emma made it up. Ryan's illness, the whole stepping aside for his happiness thing, it was all a cover. She needed an excuse to leave without looking like the bad guy. And Ryan, he went along with it. I stumbled back, my breath catching. No, I whispered. That doesn't make sense. Olivia's eyes were filled with guilt. I didn't know at first. I thought he was actually sick too. But then I started noticing things. He never had doctor's appointments. No prescriptions, no medical bills. And then I found messages between him and Emma, planning the whole thing. The bar lights flickered behind me, but the real darkness was settling in my chest. Emma hadn't just lied to me. She had orchestrated my heartbreak. Manipulated me, twisted everything, convinced me to let her go so she could walk away guilt-free. And Ryan had helped her. Olivia reached out hesitantly. I thought you should know. I couldn't breathe. The betrayal was so much worse than I had imagined. Emma hadn't just fallen out of love with me. She had engineered my destruction. My hands curled into fists. I turned away from Olivia, my mind racing. I had spent weeks mourning Emma, wishing she would come back, regretting that I hadn't fought harder. But now I was done mourning. Emma and Ryan thought they had won, that they had fooled me, discarded me like I was nothing, and walked away without consequences. But they were wrong. Very, very wrong. I took one last look at Olivia, my voice calm, steady, dangerous. Thank you for telling me. She nodded, eyes searching mine. What are you going to do? I smiled. But it wasn't the smile of a heartbroken man. It was the smile of someone who had just been reborn. Oh, don't worry, I said, turning toward my car. They'll find out soon enough. The end. Fire.